Now on the Locked On Celtics podcast, the defense does it again, and one play that perfectly captures this season.
Locked On Celtics pod, home of the winners.
Hey, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast right here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every day. Your team is the Boston Celtics, and I talk about them every Monday through Friday, plus bonus podcasts on weekends like Friday when they play. Plus, every once in a while, which is in the middle of the week, you'll have a bonus podcast of varying lengths. So make sure you're subscribed. It's the only way to get every single one of these and get it on your audio feeds or on YouTube or wherever you decide to consume your podcast. If you're new to the show, I'm John Karalis. Nice to meet you. I cover the Celtics for Sports Illustrated's Celtics on SI. I've been doing this job, a version of it, for about 20 years. I've been doing this podcast for 10. So I just love talking about the Boston Celtics. And today I'm talking about a win over the Phoenix Suns, which let me hit this button. There we go. They won it by 16. They were up by 28 at one point. And just a really nice kind, without Jaylen Brown, a nice win. Later on, I'll get to that signature play that I just mentioned, which was just a fantastic play. But there's one particular element that I'll get to later that just really makes that maybe the signature play for the Celtics this year. I'll get into Derrick White and Sam Hauser. I got to start, though, with winning the margins, doing it with rebounding, doing it with defense. The Celtics got down by 11 at one point. And, early on, I thought the Celtics came out, and I almost tweeted this out, but it didn't sound right. But what I wanted to say was it was the most dominant 5-point deficit I've ever seen, or something along those lines, where the Celtics were losing, but man, they looked good. I thought they looked good. And a lot of people were saying, I was listening to Scal, listening to some other people, they're like, oh, the Celtics weren't playing well in the first quarter. I disagree. The Celtics didn't shoot well in the first quarter. They shot, 9 of 28, 32%, 3 of 15 from 3 in the first quarter. And I thought they were playing actually pretty well because they had 9 offensive rebounds. And when you miss a bunch of shots, those rebounds are available, and they went and they got them. They actually didn't defend all that poorly. It's just the Suns hit 4 of 9 from 3. They were 10 of 21 overall. The Celtics did the things they were supposed to do. They had more offensive rebounds. They had 7 more shots at that point. They took 6 more three-pointers. They had the margins in their favor. They turned the Suns over twice. All of those things. I looked at that first quarter and I said, all they need to do is keep playing like this. Just keep playing like this. And once the shots start to fall, they don't even have to fall. They don't even have to go and hit like a million shots. They didn't have to go and shoot 60%. They just needed to start hitting something, right? They were shooting 3 of 15. They were shooting 32% overall. They just needed to hit something. Once they did, I knew it. And I did tweet out, once they hit some shots, the way they're playing, they could be up double digits in a hurry. And they were. If you're watching me, I got this headset that I'm using, and the cord is loose on me, and it just keeps flipping around. So if you're listening, sorry, I'm adjusting things. I'm working with a new headset. I'm working with a new mic, and just working through some of the kinks here on the fly. And then in the second quarter, what ended up happening was Derrick White starts to get going, and the shots do start to fall. And the problem in the first quarter was the Suns had 4 offensive rebounds, and they cashed in all 4. So the Celtics gave up 26 points. Their first shot defense was good. They were giving up the offensive rebounds. They just a little too loose. No Jaylen Brown, so maybe that kind of hurt. And it just, not only were they giving up a couple of 4 offensive rebounds, the Suns were 4 of 4. The Celtics had 9 offensive rebounds. They were 2 of 9 shooting. So they weren't cashing in on their attempts, but the Suns were. And so all of a sudden the Celtics were down by 5 in that first quarter. In the second quarter, they started to box out. Only 1 offensive rebound for Phoenix in that second quarter. Then the shots started to fall for Boston. They still had 4 more offensive rebounds, and they got 22 shots in the second quarter compared to Phoenix's 17. Phoenix's shooting started to level off. Boston, 3 of 5 for Derrick White, 5 of 7 overall, 3 of 5 from 3 for Derrick White. He had a 13-point quarter. Nimi had an 8-point quarter, plus a couple of offensive rebounds. Now the Celtics, all of a sudden, they're starting to put things together. They have 7 second chance points. They're converting on their second chances. Phoenix, just 1 offensive rebound. Now they converted on that too. So by halftime, they were 5 of 5 on second chances, but it didn't hurt them in the second quarter because it was only 1 putback. So now all of a sudden the Celtics went from down 11 to up 4 at halftime. And I'm feeling good. I felt good about this. Third quarter, the whole thing just fell apart for Phoenix. The Celtics went on a huge run. They were down 40-31 at one point in the second quarter. They went on a 50-11 run, 50-11 run. And they ultimately went up in the third quarter by 28 points. Then Sam Hauser, that's Sam Hauser's quarter, 3 of 7 from 3. He had 13 in the third quarter. He had 13. Phoenix had 11 in the third quarter. So Sam Hauser alone outscored Phoenix by 2. Then you throw in everybody else, and it was 30-11 in the third quarter. Those middle quarters, the middle of the second quarter, when the Celtics started to turn things around and decided to clear away rebounds, clear away, end defensive stops, and get out and get good looks. That's where everything kind of turned for the Celtics. So the defense, I thought the defense was good throughout. They just, once they started boxing out, they didn't give up a ton. Like third quarter was only 1 offensive rebound for Phoenix. They had a few in the fourth quarter. They made a run. They had a 14-0 run in the beginning of the fourth quarter. Nice answer for the Celtics there. The team, the team that's down by a lot, they're generally going to have one last desperation, last gasp, and Phoenix did. And the Celtics just turned right around and answered it and went right back up by 22 at one point. And then whatever, it settled at where it settled at. Final score was, a 16-point margin, but the rebounding, we talked about it yesterday in the podcast. You can have all the great defense that you want. If you're not finishing it off with a rebound, you're not going to get out. You're not completing the defensive possession. The Celtics have done a great job recently. They're the number 1 defensive rebounding team in the NBA in February, and they were able to kind of get back to that in this one. Individually, I thought there were a few great performances. Derrick White, Sam Hauser, obviously, Neemias Queta, all A+ performances. We'll get to those guys when I come back. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. You ever want to go to the NBA Finals? I've been there. It's a lot of fun. You should go. FanDuel will give you a chance to turn that dream into a reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Just use a profit boost on any NBA future, and you'll be automatically entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for 2. That's right. Flights, tickets, the whole thing, the whole experience. If you're already looking at the board and thinking about which team can make a deep run, this could be the perfect time to lock it in. Futures this time of year are a lot of fun. So you can pick a team, maybe go to the championship, conference finals. It adds an extra layer of excitement. Maybe there's a team out there with a superstar coming back that you want to bet on. I'm not saying you should. I'm just saying maybe you want to. And right now, not only can you pick cash, but it could also send you to the finals. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use your profit boost on an NBA future get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. When you sign up, make sure you're using the tools that are available there. Set your limit. They will ask you right away. Set a budget. Please do that. This way you can gamble responsibly. FanDuel will help you do that. Go to FanDuel.com and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. You are an everydayer who's with me every Monday through Friday. Please join me at the Locked On Celtics Everydayers Club. You get access to an ad-free audio feed for Locked On Celtics, compatible with Apple, Spotify, and every other major podcast app. You also get access to our Locked On Everydayer Club Discord server, which includes a group chat just for Celtics fans, just for NBA fans as well. It's all at lockedonceltics.supercast.com, lockedonceltics.supercast.com. I'll put that link in the show notes for you as well. By the way, I want to apologize for people. We're having problems on our Spotify feed. So if you're normally a Spotify listener and you're like, I haven't seen a podcast in a while, and you've come here to ask the question or wonder aloud, we're having it's everywhere else right now. Spotify's had an issue. So maybe it's come up and you're listening and you missed a couple. I'm sorry about that. That's out of our control. It's a glitch that's happening with Spotify. So I'm sorry about that. So, okay. Individually, I thought there were a couple of really nice performances here. When we talk about rebounding and defense, that starts with Neemias Queta, who was just really good. Again, the defense was off the charts. A couple of block shots, but it feels like he altered a few more. He had one where he just comes flying in out of nowhere to block a shot. He just changes things so much for them defensively. And then offensively, he was 5 of 10. I do think he needs to finish a couple of those shots. So obviously room for improvement, but also the passing. He had 3 assists. They're really starting to run plays for him where they get him at the top. They're cutting. It's almost like they're coming up to get the ball. Like Sam Hauser came up like he was going to come and get the ball, and then boom, he cuts back door, and Nimi hits him with that pass from the top. It was a beautiful pass. He just continues to get just better and better and better. Again, Nimi is a guy that, I still obviously think he has, he's not a superstar player or anything like that, but he just continues to get better as like each game, like game to game, week to week, month to month. He's just adding little bits to his game. And the thing that I really am most impressed with is the things that I have said, like, okay, he needs to work on this. Then he does it. You're like, oh, okay, he's working on it. He's doing it. So last season it was keep the ball high when you catch it. Don't bring it down to your knees to try to jump up and dunk everything. Just he's not an explosive leaper. He can gather and jump. Like when he comes in flying for the block shots, he's gathering and doing all that stuff, and that gets him to explode upwards. But he's not a quick leaper, right? He's not going to just catch it and like an Aaron Gordon, going to catch it, stay up on his toes, jump right back up and dunk it. Like that's not Nimi. So for him to jump, he has to gather. So keep the ball high. I said this last year, and he by the end of last year, he started doing it. Haven't seen it once this year. You know what I mean? So that's a big improvement. And then this year, I've asked him, I was like, hey, we need to see you operate better on the baseline. We need to see you in the dunker spot and maneuver in the dunker spot and figure out how to finish in that spot when you get it down low, how to use your body and get position and all that. He just keeps doing it. And so I believed what I believed about Nimi, and I feel like at the time I was correct in my assessment because we hadn't seen it yet. And as the season has gone on, he has proven to have fixed all of the things that I've been saying, and he's become a really, really good player. So shout out to Neemias Queta. Really has progressed incredibly well, and we'll see what happens. I talk about him and Vooch and starting and combinations and stuff like that. I still think that there are certain combinations that I want Nimi with, but at this point, from what I've seen, him and Vooch, like Vucevic had a decent game here, nothing special. He also made a couple of nice passes. They also went to him in the post a bunch, and not a bunch, but a few times. And he can punish mismatches. Whatever that works out to be, I still think it'll end up being Vucevic starting, but maybe it won't. Maybe it won't, and that'll also be okay. So we'll just leave it at that. So Keita was really, really good. Derrick White, A+ game. Neemias Queta, A+ when I give my player grades on Celtics on SI. I gave them both A+. A couple of like a little struggle, a little bit of cold shooting for Derrick out of the gate, but he was 4 of 9 from 3 in the first half. He was 3 of 5 in the second quarter. 22 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, 3 blocks. If this was the NFL, you'd get 2.5 blocks for Derrick White and 2.5 for Neemias Queta because they got to one. I think they gave that one to Derrick. But either way, Derrick's, the shot making, there's one 3-pointer that he made. It was a tough kind of fading away one. And when that fell, I was like, okay, he's back. When he hits that kind of like fade away contested 3, I knew right away that he was going to start hitting 2-3 in a row. So that was, that's great. Like Derrick hitting shots and getting to a floater and all that stuff. That's great. I expect that to happen. I also have come to expect the one play, it was second quarter where he gets screened, a little bit of an illegal screen. Okay. Gets over the top. I think it's Grayson Allen pulls up for a 3. He comes around the corner. Derrick comes around, around the pick. It looks like he's out of the play. He's not. He blocks the shot. You're like, Derrick is never out of the play. Whenever you're on the floor and Derrick White is around and you're on the perimeter, just expect Derrick to show up. He's going to be there. He's going to get in your face. He's going to do something. He's going to make a play. If he's not a first-team all-defense guy this year, then I don't know. Then just I want to have a definitive statement. I don't know what the definitive statement is. There's a finish to that sentence. If he's not first-team all-NBA, then, and I don't know how to finish that sentence, but then something, darn it, I'm angry if he's not, whatever. I don't know what I'll do, but he better be there. So Derrick was great. Sam Hauser, solid again, 16 points. He got hot in the third quarter. The great cut. He just, again, best, most solid basketball season for Sam Hauser. Baylor Scheierman, got to shout out Baylor Scheierman. A double-double. He has 3 double-doubles this season, all in February. Rebounding monster. His defensive rebounding percentage this month is up around 21%. He's been great. He was working his butt off. He was defending. He was doing everything except hitting shots. He was 1 of 6 overall from 3. I'm starting to think, and again, this can change. I've said this, I have this tendency to make these statements and then guys end up improving. So I'm just going to put it out there. I'll just say it this way. Maybe Baylor isn't a 3-point shooter. Maybe he's just not a 3-point shooter in the NBA. Now he's only in his second year. And so I don't know where this will go, but I know he was a shooter. I know he sees himself as a shooter. He's not been one here in the NBA. In fact, let me just call up the overall stats for him because they're not great. Okay, 38% this year. That he's recovered nicely, I suppose. 31.7 last year. So I don't know. I guess I've seen too many of these 1 for 6, kind of nights, and the shooting is so sporadic. He either needs to find some consistency in how his shot looks, or he needs to step in and just become a mid-range guy. Regardless, he's done incredibly well as a defender, rebounder, all of that stuff. I never, ever thought, let me just backtrack for a second. The Celtics started Derrick White, Ron Harper, Neemias Queta, Sam Hauser, and Baylor Scheierman. If I had told you that was going to be a starting lineup for the Celtics this year, you'd think, oh, okay, so they're tanking. Gap year, right? That's something happened. What happened to Jaylen? You know, what's going on? Things have gone wrong. If this is, you're starting Ron Harper Jr., okay, you're starting Baylor Scheierman. All right, well, let's see. Maybe they're going after Boozer after all, or Debansa, or one of these guys. Maybe they're just no. This lineup started and blew out the Phoenix Suns. Baylor, you know, a big time plus. All of the starters, big time pluses. I'm super impressed with Baylor. He's been great rebounding, great defending, and so all of these guys. Ron Harper Jr. made the play of the night. It looks like he might have hurt his hamstring. He didn't shoot well, but he was a plus 25 in this game. Let me finish up the individual performances, and I'll get to that play, that signature play that Ron Harper and Baylor Scheierman and Hugo Gonzalez, those three dudes have the signature play of the season? Yeah, I think so. That's next. Today's show is brought to you by Indeed. Workplace can be chaotic. Deadlines, I know how deadlines go. Man, those can kill you. An overflowing inbox, and you got one position that you have to fill, and it's still open. What do? You don't sit there and pray. You don't sit there and hope. You go to Indeed sponsored jobs because they will help you reach the people who fit what you're looking for, skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping that the right candidate stumbles across your post. In the minute that I'm talking to you here, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. If you are hiring, spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all of your boxes. You put the call out, Indeed sponsored jobs finds the people that you're looking for. You will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show. It's your show too, by saying you heard about it here on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs. Thank you for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go check out Locked On NBA and Locked On NBA Game Night. Normally, I'd be on Game Night tonight, but because the Celtics played, I just submitted a quick minute and a half synopsis of the game. A lot of us do that, and that's how you get in-depth knowledge of how the night went. Listen to the show. Listen to what all the local experts said, and it's 7 days a week. You'll get a full kind of update. You'll know everything that happened in the league. It's the only way to stay up to date. It's Locked On NBA Game Night. It's on the same feed as Locked On NBA, which covers the big stories in the afternoons. All right, just cleaning up the rest of the box score here before we get to the signature play. Peyton Pritchard struggled, 2 of 13, 0 of 5. Normally he plays well with Jaylen out. Just didn't. And I thought he got decent shots. He was still a plus 11. He got 6 rebounds. He had 4 assists, but just a tough shooting night. It happens. Not a big deal. I really do think he generated decent looks, but he really did have to work hard to get the shot. Like, he was really, really dribbling a lot. I don't know what the overall dribble numbers were. I'm willing to bet he dribbled a little bit more in this game than normally. Just had some trouble kind of getting to his spots. I think once he got there, the looks were clean. He might have been a little tired by the time he got to those spots. So just a tough one for Peyton. Not a big deal. Like I said, Vooch was decent. Jordan Walsh played 9 minutes and 20 seconds and was good in the 9 minutes and 20 seconds. Why only 9:20? I think it's because he was desperate for the Celtics to challenge a play, and it was in the second quarter, and the Celtics were making their run, but he fouled. I forget who it was. Might have been Grayson Allen or I forget who it was, but he he touched the arm. It was a 3-shot foul. And he was like adamant. I did not touch him. I did not touch him. And then you cut to the bench and you see Matt Reynolds looking at his iPad, and they're looking to see if he's going to challenge. And Jordan is adamant. I did not touch him. So Joe calls the timeout and challenges as Matt Reynolds is saying, I wouldn't do it. And as usual, Matt Reynolds is right. And I think because Joe lost the challenge, Jordan sat. He did not play in the second half. And listen, I think that's hilarious. I think it's incredible. If you're going to be that sure, you better be sure. And I think that's why he got benched in the second half, because I thought he was good in the first half. And then obviously in the third quarter, Sam Hauser and the rest of the Celtics made it easy for Joe to stick to those guns, but I think that's what happened. All right, let's get to the play of the game, the absolute play of the season, one of the plays of the season. So third quarter, this is in the midst of the 50-11 run. Suns get out into transition. So right away, like there are two reasons why this is a signature play of the season, maybe the signature play of the season. Number one, it was an awesome play. Baylor Scheierman gets back. I forget who had the ball, but because Baylor got back, he forced the player to kind of adjust. And then in comes Ron Harper Jr., just trucking in, flies in, looking like Dr. J in the 70s, man. He had the hair flowing. He just had the big extension. He was kind of like bent backwards. He looked very Dr. J-ish and just swatted it off the backboard. It goes out to Hugo Gonzalez. As Hugo's getting the ball, Baylor's like, oh my God. And he has to slap five and celebrate with Ron Harper. As Hugo's going the other way, Hugo takes it, Euro steps, finish, ball bounce, falls in, timeout. What a play. What a moment. An awesome play, awesome elements. It was fun. It was awesome. So that's a signature play. But it really is, in a lot of ways, the signature play because it was Baylor, because it was Ron Harper Jr., because it was Hugo. Normally, you'd say it's something to do with, Jaylen and Derrick and those guys. And there are plenty of options with those guys for sure. But the story of the Celtics season is how Baylor has been huge. Like Baylor starting has been incredibly important for the Celtics. Ron Harper Jr. starts, two-way guy, getting these opportunities, getting to participate in All-Star Weekend, but coming in and just, again, this starting lineup, White, Harper, Keita, Hauser, Scheierman, and they're playing this well together. Doesn't make sense. But Baylor's great. He's playing great. Nimi is playing off the charts. Harper stepping in. Hugo Gonzalez. No one, when he got drafted, people were like, huh? Who? Hugo? Okay. We got a Hugo now. Well, no, it's Hugo. It's Hugo. We're going to respect the name because he plays like a pro and he, has his ups and downs for sure as a rookie, but that those three guys, Baylor, Harper, and Hugo, were the guys that pulled this off. To me, that makes this so indicative of what this season is. I have to make that the signature play because it just fits. It fits what this season has been. Yes, Jaylen is playing at a level where people are saying he should be much higher in the MVP conversation and he should be an first team all NBA guy. That's absolutely true. And Derrick White is playing. He's still a plus minus monster. And that's true. And Joe Mazzulla's coaching. All of that stuff is true. But none of this gets this far. this good without all of these other guys. And they represent the Luka Garzas, who's, not playing as much anymore, but had a stretch of, wow, he's the most important player they've got here. Those three guys represent the Jordan Walsh, all the guys that, the Josh Minotts, who came in and now he's gone, but had an opportunity to win the Celtics a few games. So all of those guys are the story of the season because they're all contributing in some way, somehow. So to do that, to have that play was spectacular and perfect. Perfectly captures everything. Now, look, the Celtics still have, they're 38-19. The 40-20 rule is still in effect. If you don't know what 40-20 is, go look it up. But basically, it's championship teams win 40 games before they lose 20. And that's true except for like 5 exceptions. So it doesn't have to happen, but and it doesn't guarantee because there's a lot of teams that get to 40 before 20. But if you're not a 40-20 team, chances are you're not really a contender. The Celtics have 2 more games to go. The Denver Nuggets on a 3rd game in 4 nights and on a back-to-back. But the way the Celtics play, the way the Celtics are, I mean, I'm sitting there going like, well, that's going to be a loss. You're in Denver. You're ending a road trip in altitude against Jokic. And those guys, that's a loss. But I can't assume anything with this team. They might win by 30, for all I know. They might win by 30. Jaylen might go off for 50 points and dominate, and they could win. Denver has a bad night, and Celtics win, and you just got to go home and beat Brooklyn for 40-20. Still possible. Post-game podcast tomorrow after that game. Of course, after every game, I'll be podcasting for you, so make sure you're subscribed. Be a late one. That's a 10 p.m. Eastern time start. So the podcast will be very late, but it'll be there for you in the morning. Hopefully it'll be there on Spotify. I'm sorry if it's not, but we're trying to fix it. We really are trying to fix it. So would love to have you there. Thank you for making this the number 1 Celtics podcast in the world and on the number 1 sports podcast network in the world. Thank you so much for being an everydayer, doing that and making the show what it is. It's all because of you. So thank you very much for that. Now, please share the podcast. Tell everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.